With the November elections coming up, one election will surely be important for the North Shore voters to elect, and that is the representative of the 16th District to the New York Assembly. This year, our beloved New York State Assemblyman Anthony Durso has decided not to run for re-election. Today, I'm happy to have him as my guest. Welcome, Anthony.
Thank you for your warm welcome.
So tell me, what made you decide not to run for re-election?
Well, there's some health reasons.
Okay.
And also I felt at 81 years of age, I still did not finish to conquer the world. I wanted to do something else, not for money, not for anything, like humanitarian work that I did similar, because I cannot go back to Africa 19 hours on the airplane. Yeah. Anyway, what I did, you were aware of when I was doing humanitarian work in Africa, Central America, and Haiti. I want to do something similar, volunteer, but domestically, somewhere, around Long Island, no further than New York City. I didn't want to make it alone, so I had meetings at my daughter's house in Westchester County with two of my children, because the other two live, one in Texas, one in Park City, and so my son-in-law, who was also a medical doctor, says, "Pop, you're so much at risk of a heart attack because your anxiety and your stress are the limit. So, and plus you have done many, many things in life, and you should be proud. And probably this is the time to retire." And reluctantly, I agreed, and I said, "Okay, I will not run for re-election." Go back to my health, which is a big reason. I have some health issues, and also some of what I used to call senior moments that become senior minutes. And I was afraid to get on the floor lately, the floor of the assembly, and try to debate a bill, not knowing, not being, sure whether I could get during the presentation, I could get the right word at the right time and put it in the right place of, my statements. So I felt I didn't want to embarrass myself. And that's probably one of the major reasons why I didn't run anymore.
But you've done so much in this role. You were elected in 2016, and I know that you had put in at least one of the bills that you supported was for the infrastructure that related to State Route 101, which was redone. And you also did many other things. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Well, you have to be on at least 3 or 4 committees. I'm on the environmental committees, on the education committees, on the local governments committee that keeps me busy with the village mayors. But what I really love the most is the environmental. And with my participation and my cooperation, because I belong in, that's one of my committees, we put the $3 billion on water projects because we don't want a nitrogen that comes from cesspools and runoff water from the roads, to further contaminate it, the sound and also the aquifer. That we do not have, water like New York City that supplies drinking water to 8.5 million people from the aquifers in the Catskills and other location in north part of the state. We totally dependent on the aquifer, and if we contaminate the aquifer, that we can no longer drink the poisonous water. And then where are we going to get our water? I mean, it's easy to say, but just if you stop and contemplate what that means, it means that you cannot live on Long Island anymore unless you're going to truck all the drinking water, on Long Island. So that's one of the bigger projects that really got very much involved. And then we got also the infrastructure, and because I've been a designer and a builder for years, I love to see new construction done. Whether it's a highway, whether it is a bridge, whether it is the infrastructure for the town, for the state. I really love to do that. And not only I got the Port Washington Boulevard 101, but I also got the Northern State Parkway from the city limit all the way to Meadowbrook, and also the the access ramps to that, which is being completed as we speak.
Thank you so much for that. That is amazing. Thank you so much for that, because those ramps were terrible.
Yeah, I was able to do work on what is that, Union Turnpike in Noy Park, where for years nothing was done and no sidewalks, and that's right across the the shopping center, and also by the office building complex there. And I got that done, and I could go on, but suffice to say that I'm the biggest advocate for infrastructure. I love to see concrete and asphalt being poured to make the roads better than what they are, and to answer to the many calls that I did receive from the constituents that sometimes they criticize that some of the roads. You take a Northern Boulevard, for instance, from the city line to down, Spinney Hill Road. Take a look at that road. I was able to put it on the 4-year plan, and that's coming up probably after I'm not going back or two, but it's there. It's in a budget, and it's within a 4-year plan. And many other projects also. So the water quality, the infrastructure, that occupied most of my time. So I also belong to I'm a member of the local governments committee. And I've had, many meetings with the lawyers. You have to understand that there are 64 incorporated villages in the Nassau County, 31 in the town of North Hempstead. And I have a big chunk of the North Hempstead, which at least, 10, 11 more, because there are 9 incorporated village in the peninsula of Great Neck. There are 4, 5 here in Port Washington. Those alone gives you about 14. They're in my district. And I reached out to all the mayors. We had meetings, and we exchanged a lot of ideas. But it comes down to one thing, and that's allocation of funds beside the infrastructure. And especially in this last year, that with this pandemic, now whatever you turn around, there's a big deficit, and we're not about to get any money now for the infrastructure into the villages because the money's not there. And where there's money, maybe they have other priorities until we get out of this, this pandemic. So that's another issue. And then, I'm very much involved with the Veterans Services. I'm a member of that committee also. Every Thanksgiving and every Christmas, we gather gifts for the veterans with two trucks. One, me and Sandy go to the Stony Brook veteran home, which is different from the VA administration buildings in Northport. And we drop all the presents, to those two establishments and walk through and talk to the veterans. And one day, the last one, somebody says, "You look familiar." I said, "Well, who do you think I am?" "I think you're Tony Durso. Do you know who I am?" I said, "Geez, you have to forgive me. We used to coach together soccer. And he got so old, so sick, that I didn't recognize him. And he started to cry because the best days for him and myself are behind us. And we could not participate in helping the kids in a little league and in a soccer, team. So that's another issue. What else? So I could go on and on and on. So I kept myself pretty busy. So
You
now,
also sponsored a bill that protected children who were abused and could go after their abuser.
well, we passed many bills. I'm
Tony,
sorry.
I lost your. Yeah.
I got it. We extend the years for which a sex offender could be brought to justice. So we had few years. We went as far as 50 years.
Wow.
There's no limits to the age now. I was very active passing bills for the women the right to choose. The main bill is there, but we always come through again because of threats from Washington, D.C. And we want to be prepared so that if and when they implement those laws nationally, they do not apply to us because we have our own. So being busy with that. I also introduced lots of bills to make a government function a little better. One is that I wanted to make the designated the job of an assembly person full time because
Right.
it's not a part time. We do more work from the district office than from Albany. Right. And I did say to the speaker, I sent a letter out before I introduced the bill. I tell you what, I remember after 1974, because I got involved that year in politics, elected Angelo Rossi, assemblyman down here for the first time. I said, they were not district offices. So you go there for the 6 months on Monday, so we're opening for the legislative session, and then you're free. They might call you home, but that was not a way to satisfy the needs of the constituency. So the first year they got into the majority, the Democrats established, the establishment for district office and the personnel, okay, and all the expenses that occur when you open another office with more equipment, more desks, more furniture, so on and so forth. I said, you know what? You wanted this a part-time? Sure, I go along with you. Shut down the district office, and we do the 6 months in Albany like they used to do before. Mm-hmm. But if you wanted to call a part-time, then we got to shut the offices. I never got a response, but I did introduce the bill. In conjunction with that, I said we should extend the term,
office.
From 2 years to 4 years.
Exactly.
Okay. I said, because it's a win-win. The assembly person and the incumbent, the day after he gets elected, he has to pay some deficits, that still to be paid. Plus, he's got to start to raise money for next year because we only have 1 year, now to campaign it. And then that next year, is the election year. And now, as they finish to pay the outstanding debts, then it's going to start to try to, raise some funding for the new election. And the state, instead of to sponsor and fund a 2-election year, we sponsor one every 4 years. It's millions and millions of dollars. I introduced that. I can't get it to the floor yet, but I got to tell Gina when she wins, follow up on those bills.
No, exactly. I think that the term is too short. You're just learning.
And expensive. And it becomes annoying to your followers. Once in a while, you go there when we campaign, you say, can you do anything? I've never picked up a phone, asked for money. I used to send the letters to my family members, to my friends, and that's it. I do not have the ability get on a phone and says, can you contribute to my campaign? I just not my personality. Mm-hmm. But anyway, but the others do. Okay, then to make it a little more palatable, these what to call a transformational bills, and not only term limit, but the outside income, we cut it down drastically, like the Congress of the United States, no more than 15% of your income. We cut it down. There was every year we get this list who made the most of, the biggest amount from the outside income. And this is not to criticize the lawyers, but the majority in the assembly, and I would say in the legislature, including the Senate, they're lawyers. They're not going to do anything that undermine or curtails the outside income. There's a list. One of the state Senate, $400,000 1 year. He's not there because he need. When I first started, it was $79,500 a year salary from the state. It's because he expands his exposure. He expands the base of his clients, and that's what he makes the money. Now, that doesn't say that if you give him enough of a salary, or you erase corruption. Nah, some people that are born with a weakness, to steal. They can keep doing, but probably even less so. And not only that, when you reduce that amount of income, some of the lawyers are doing extremely well outside now. They're not going to jeopardize on. They might not run for re-election again. So there's another bill I have pending. And then I have one for term limits, because there's a great number of people out there that they want the term limits. I, for one, philosophically, I believe that we have term limits. It's called an election. But I also look at the other point of view, because of the incumbent might be a little easier when he raises money instead of challenge has a little more difficulty. So there's a credit on both sides, the line there. Right. And I said, you know what? I don't want to do just of a couple, especially if it is 2 years. I said, no more than 4 terms. So for 2 years, it is 8 years, right? So now I said, and that's what I'm doing. If you cannot get things done the way you would like to see done in 8 years, you can stay there many years. You're not going to get it done. Anyway, by the way, a guy that really got to like over there, Joe Lentol, is an assemblyman from Brooklyn. Very nice guy. As soon as I got there, we shared the same hotel, not the room, but the same hotel. These comfort in, sleep in, whatever. That's where you get the best price, and you don't get the the chocolate on your pillow, but he gives you a clean room and a safe place to sleep 3 nights a week, okay? So Joe told me one day, because sometime I didn't have the car, he would take me after session was completed to the hotel, and became a good friend. He said, Tony, next year, this was the first year I got there, we want to celebrate the 100th anniversary in my family, because this seat, he said, has been in my family 100 years. I said, Joe, you want to aggravate the people that criticize people that make, the assembly career? I said, please, you're so smart. You're a lawyer too. You're so smart. Next year, it's 50 years there. And the seat has been in this family from the grandfather, the son, the grandson. He said, we had 2 small gaps in between, but this has been substantially in my family for 100 years. He never celebrated it. And you know what happened to Joe?
What?
He lost the primary.
Primary?
I don't know if the 50 years there played a part in it. Oh, some people in the district, for some reason, had enough of Joe. He lost the primary. So I have that bill also. These what I call, really important, difficult bills. And I hope that someday gets his way to the floor for for debate. So this is more or less the main things. And then there's so much of constituency services. And when I first got to Albany, there was a guy next to me we had a desk next to each other. Nice, an immigrant from Greece. He came here, was a young kid. He was a teacher before that. Plus, he has some properties. He says, Tony, he said, what you do in Albany is important, but what you do in a district is more important. They're the ones that send you to Albany. Albany does not call you to come here. It's your constituents that send you to Albany. Make sure you do constituency services, without interruption. And I tell you, still have good, staff, especially Sandy that's worked a couple of years under DiNapoli, 10 years under Michelle, 4 years under me. She knows everyone in the district, and she does a great job to help me to take care of the constituency service issues. So, and that's just about it, unless you have some more specific question.
Because I have a question with what's going on in today's world, and that there is a higher level of threat against elected officials. And how do you feel about that? I mean, do you think that good people are now afraid to even run for office because of the threats?
There could be a problem that always existed. Maybe now is a little more, dangerous than it has been. How far back do you want to go? You want to go to Kennedy, or you want to go?
Well, right now it's getting pretty hot.
Now, because we have this president that does not condemn the extremists, the white supremacists, and look what happened yesterday or the day before with the governor of Michigan.
Right.
Would you believe that? Now, I'm not saying that Trump, instigated that to take place, right. But when he makes these statements, inflammatory, incendiaries, and these people now, I call them the cold. Those people not used to his constituent. They became a cold. He could kill somebody and still vote for him. And Trump said that when he first launched his campaign. Do you remember when I say I shoot someone at Park Avenue and I still got elected? Well, there's a lot of people welcome that kind of talk.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then, for whatever, they join some of these cliques. They're social, and they call us socialists now. First, I remember years ago when I started in 1974, they used to call me Pinko. Pinko used to mean communist. Mm-hmm. Now they call every name on a book. And And what they do, instead of for Trump to, pay attention to the cause of those people that went and looted and set fire in stores, they say, hey, we don't condone that. We don't want that to happen. We condemn that. But what you people that incited that to happen, without without blaming just the one that would rightly so condemn the ones that riots and burn the stores down. But look what your people are doing to promote that, to have those people react that way. So there's blame on both sides, but I have more of the blame than our people that riot, because everybody has the freedom to protest, peacefully demonstrate, and then they get carried away, which I condemn. But it happens because of something, stoked it. It stoked our fire.
Right. Exactly.
So going back to the original question, I think I might have confused you. There are people, yes, they're afraid, but not too much at the very local, maybe a little higher up, I guess. And but they're always watchful. They're always watchful.
Well, I know that this election time is much more difficult to go out like normally people go, and from house to house, and now there's a pandemic, and it's much more difficult to really get out there. Obviously no gatherings more than 50.
No door to door, right?
Exactly. Do you feel though that the candidates have an opportunity to win just because of party lines, or do you think this is just so different from anything else?
Well, although they cannot go door to door, they have other ways to reach out through Zoom, fundraisers like Anna and Gina doing, through social media, and to the local papers. Right, I was a real good patron of the local papers. I had, if you remember, something on a paper every week. Yeah. So they could use that, and also they save money. And then probably they don't have to raise it as much money as you need to run, the election. But going back, it is good to be known. So you not only depend on the label that you running on, Democrat or Republican, so on and so forth, but also visibility. I mean, what have you done before you decide to throw the hat into the ring? Mm-hmm. You could be a very nice person. You go to church or synagogue on Sundays. You could give a charitable, but nobody knows you. Mm-hmm. I got involved with the Little League Baseball. I got involved coaching soccer. I got invited with the Kiwanis. I got invited still today with the Lions, with the Rotary. I got involved with the Sons of Italy. I was president of a local lodge of 400 members, and we have 70-some lodges throughout the state of New York. And I used to go to the convention. I used to raise the money. I used to sell, raffle tickets. And then, that's a main thing. Registered Democrats, the minute we moved from Astoria, because we lived for a while in Astoria, before we went to the New Hyde Park, I registered Democrat. They came and they throw a net at you, they catch you. and they made me a committee man. Yeah. And so they came over the house and said, well, you're registered Democrat. Now we want you to be a committee man. I said, what is a committee man? I said, and I don't know. So, and they explained it to me. I said, okay. So they gave me this title committeeman. So the first time I have to stick the petition. I didn't know what it were, and I started. They gave me a stack of petitions, especially in Newark Park. There was a 3-1, 2-1 Republicans at the time.
Yeah.
I said, "What a day to start! I really feel patriotic today." I went to 4th of July, knocking on the doors. I got to a door somewhere there. I forgot the street in Newark Park. And I see this is the type of house. They have a long sided driveway and the garage is in the back. And they have a nice backyard with asphalt, whatever. And I saw this guy, I peeked through. It was sleeping on a lounge chair. I went and woke him up. And he said, "Who the heck are you? You woke me up for this garbage. Get out of here." I said, "Holy God." If it was another person, I said, forget about being a committeeman, right?
Right.
So, but I insisted. I used to take my wife, I used to take my 4 kids with me. We were always out. And many, many nights, election nights, because I was the zone leader, Republican called district leader, we call them zone leaders. And when we pulled that sheet from the voting machine and to read the outcome, I had a long face because I know we're going to lose. And I used to go to the car. And the first thing I did when I got home on the driveway, I pulled all my stickers, bumper stickers, for the Democratic candidate. I pulled them out. For years, I did that. Mm-hmm. So one day, my counterpart from the Republican Party, he was a big guy. He used to be as a county, what you call that? Now they have the assessor. You remember the assessor used to run for 6-year term?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Abe Selden. And he said, Tony one night, we were friends. It was about 2 blocks away from me in White Park. "Tony, what are you looking for?" I said, "What do you mean I'm looking for?" I said, "We have a good job for you." I said, "Thank you very much. I don't need the job. But what are you doing for?" "Because I want to be involved, because I'm a Democrat," okay? Mm-hmm. And we remain friends, but they try to get you, they promise you jobs. I said, "I'm not looking for jobs." I said, "I got a good job in the city. I did it from scratch myself." Right. So anyway. So you find someone who could talk forever.
I know. I'm so excited. And I hope that you will come back again once your term is over, because I would just love to hear more about your whole life. It's very exciting. You have principles. You have guided us well. You're putting in place things that we definitely need to have in office. And I think...
I wanted to say one thing. Mm-hmm. I come from a very not destitute, poor family. I went through World War II. You know the story, right?
Right, I do.
I had a burst appendix without medical intervention. I still don't eat all the stuff the Italian eat. The only thing I order when I go to a restaurant, Italian restaurant, an angel hair with aglio olio, garlic and oil. Yeah. I could digest that. I don't digest the other stuff. Right. I cannot eat raw fruits or raw vegetable. If I eat, it has to be very well mushy, cooked. Because of that burst appendix for years, I was sick. When I came over here, they found out what was causing it. And I went to the hospital, 7.5-hour surgery. They took 5 feet of the small intestine, 12 inches of my colon, my gallbladder, and all the scar tissue. And they said, "You had a burst appendix when you were a young child. So ask your mother if when you were a child, 4, 5, 6, you cried a lot." I said, "My mother's not here. She's in Italy. I came here alone." So we give her a call. I said, "Yeah, I called my..." I was 29 days in the hospital, 2 months on my recovery. I called my mother, said, don't get scared. I'm okay." But I was in the hospital and I had a problem with my intestines and had an operation. And the doctor asked me to ask you if you remember any time when, as a young kid, if I cried a lot. He said, Tony, you were always sick. You always cry. Yeah. So,
right.
so I come from that background. I come a background when Easter Sunday, the biggest religious holiday in the Catholicism. We only found 2 donkeys' ears over the mountains, refugees. 2 donkeys' ears, had to chew 2 donkeys' ears.
Right.
And we share that because the next family in the huts next to us over the mountain didn't have that. And also, if you remember, read any of the correspondence, my father hid these 2 Jewish families.
Right.
Did you hear that?
Yes, I had done a show on that with you.
Yeah. So that's my background.
And we appreciate that. You know,
I came here alone. I lived by myself in a furnished room in Long Island City, infested with roaches and rats. I remember going to school at night, come home 11:30, because I used to go to work. I used to go to school right after work. And I had this furnished room, and I had this pull chain switch. You remember the pull chain switch?
Yes.
And I had a broom next to the door. So this way I opened the door in the dark, and then I have a broom in my hand, and the other hand will pull the switch, and all the rats are running all over. I kill them with the broom.
Yeah.
And then I put a little humor into this. I said, and the roach, they were so big, if they cross under my bed, they will lift me up. To describe how filthy. They were not indigent, how do you say, transient. They're all transient people. Right. They don't have those kind of facilities anymore in the city. But before they had what you call the furnished rooms.
Yeah.
So then I go to work on construction. Oh, first to wash the dishes, and then I loaded the trucks from furniture factories. And finally, I got a job in construction. That's when I started to see a few dollars. And my own people. I got discriminated more from first generation Italian Americans here, born. I use Zip. They used to call me Zip, Greasehorn, Greaseball, and all that. They gave me all the dangerous jobs because I couldn't speak. So one day I went to work. I'll let that go. I wanted to do something different, but I didn't have a job. I went back to construction with a very small contractor. They were building mill basin in Brooklyn. They used to be like wetlands at one time. And I was mixing a cement. I was, carrying the bricks to the bricklayers, and they would give me $1 an hour, 1961, I think. All right. And I had these 2 bricklayers that they were putting a veneer. They built a house with the wood, and then they put the brick. Mm-hmm. And I said to this guy in a broken Italian, because he spoke a little bit of Neapolitan dialect, I said, what they're doing is wrong. When you get under the windowsill, you're going to have a mouse tail. Mouse tail, means a brick on one side of the window is maybe an inch and a half, and on the other side is 0. And he said, that doesn't look right. What do you know? You Zip. I said, what do you mean, what do I know? I served 6 years apprenticeship. I'm a bricklayer and a carpenter. So what he did, he laid off those 2, gave me the job. I corrected it, and I finished the job. And he gives me $1 an hour. I said, wait a minute, how much did you pay those yahoos there in Italian? He said, $3 an hour. They made a mistake. I had to correct. I had to take it down. And you gave me $1 when you pay them $3. I say, stick this job and left. My own people. His mother and father was from my town.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
Well, I'm amazed. Your story is similar to a lot of immigrants here, including
absolutely.
my father. And
Every one of us could write a book.
absolutely. And I'd like to do another show with you, but I want to just end this one right now.